What's your game plan?
I'm glad you asked.
Serve volley. I think it's a serve volley game plan.
No,
No.
I don't think so. I think just crushing the opposition every step, psychologically, physically. Yes.
And we'll just get things rolling.
Almost every project you engage in has a really strong spatial proposition to it. How does it start with you? How do you develop that? And where are you at?
Often it comes just out of whatever's like lying around in the room. So I don't know. I put a Facebook announcement out for lamps, asking for lamps, and somebody came back and said, "Oh, it must be a Gene Peters show," a sound designer that I work with all the time. And I thought, "Well, shit, I got to stop using lamps." But I like practical light. I like practical, weird, just normal, ordinary, kind of boring stuff. And if we can kind of build from that, that's pretty cool. So we made settling like that. We made shifting was like 100 or 500 boxes, cardboard boxes. So it's just the kind of fairly cheating kind of thing of going, oh, let's just get a lot of something and make it look kind of spectacular that way. So we did that one. Elephants, we found a whole bunch of plastic in our store, like a whole bunch of plastic fabric sheety stuff. And so I gave that to my designer, the designer that I work with all the time.
Who's that?
Tracy Monastra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And who's currently working on Massey for the New Zealand International Arts Festival. We sort of devised some stuff around that. We sort of using plastic, and then she kind of went away and came back with this beautiful design, and then that was the space.
Right.
So yeah. So it sort of depends, I guess. Like, I'm really excited by 4 feet by 4 feet. I'm excited by like compression. There was a thing I saw about people just completely on a car, playing on a car, and that was quite exciting. So yeah, something like that seems quite cool.
You've mentioned constraint, and that's a word that I find very and a thing that I find very useful in creating. Like knowing what your parameters are and creating only within them.
Yeah.
We've done that a number of times early in the process, sort of choosing the spatial constraints, choosing the sort of physical archetype or the some kind of a central image, and then sticking to those constraints. Like we did one show that was set at a table, 16 foot by 7 foot table for an audience of only 28 with 2 performers at the table as well. So that really defined kind of the physical language of the piece. A lot like Invisible Atom with the 4x4 space. Anthony recently directed a show and wrote a show where we had only a projector as the only source of light. So a single projector. So that provided a creative constraint for that piece.
Pantaloon.
Kevin.
Tiger.
Beers.
Shirtless.
Tops.
Trucks. Wanaboo. Bang! Wanaboo?
Anthony was with me when this happened, but I crashed an audition at a theater called the Tarragon Theater in Toronto, which is, big city in Canada. And so I was a young actor in the big city at a big audition, and I signed the crash list, and I signed my name, Christopher Barry. And then a couple minutes later, this guy came in and signed the list, and he had a fine British accent, and he said, "Who's Christopher Barry?" And I said, "It's me." He said, "You can't be Christopher Barry, I'm Christopher Barry." Okay. And he said, he went on to explain to me that he was a member of Canadian Actors Equity Association and British Equity as well.
I
and
don't
that
think
would
he
have
actually had a British accent. I think he was just fun.
No, he totally did. Oh yeah, maybe he was just fond of story. Yeah. So when I joined the union, I had to pick a different name.
Okay.
So I went with Christian, and that was mostly because I could still be Chris.
Yeah.
And I had recently been published that way in a review. I don't know why they had thought I had. Yeah, it just seemed like it was a message, so I took it and ran with it. Because I had to pick, because I booked a gig, so I had to pick something.
Right. What is company for you? What does that actually mean? I know you do one show a year, more or less.
Well, one
new
local show.
Yeah, one local show in Halifax.
But we might have up to 4 touring
Yeah.
in a given year.
I think we kind of think of it more as an idea than anything else. I mean, it's kind of it's an identity, and we make shows on a project by project basis. We're not trying to serve a specific shape of a season or anything like that. We just make a play when we're ready to make one. Now we're trying to build an audience, so of course we want to do 2 shows a year because we think it'd be better to have a little bit of consistency. But really, 2B is kind of more about the style and content and methodology of the work, I think, more than anything else.
It's a kind of a charming defiance of the people of Nova Scotia.
Really?
Because it's not an economically vibrant place, so...
It's not, did you say?
No.
In a lot of
As
ways, it'd
compared
be easier to build a
Toronto.
company in Toronto if you wanted to.
That's the road more traveled by.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So there's something a little bit determined about choosing to do our work in Halifax.
We're trying to figure out how we build a company that sort of works within the New Zealand context and doesn't work against it, because New Zealand's like so contractor based. They're like, there's no kind of way of sustaining work. Really, it feels like there's really difficult to sustain work and keep people from going and making a film or shooting a commercial right in the middle of production week, or so trying to embrace that rather than to fight against it. Like, well, what is the theater? I kind of don't think theater is really relevant unless you ask that question, because like
Or the theatre building?
no, like performance. Like I go, well, people can go, like people don't just generally go down and rock up and see a show. Not in this country. Like the majority of people don't.
Well, people go to a lot of performance.
Like music or
Music and
ish.
sport.
Sport, yeah, sport. But they so that has to me that's really clearly relevant. But people have chose to make it clearly relevant.
Yeah.
We're kind of holding on to a lot of weird past ideas of what we're supposed to be doing, and a lot of assumptions. Like we just don't ask the questions, so we put it in a building and we bring the audience in, and then we do something for them, and then we send them away.
Yeah, right.
And that's just the assumption that that's the way it goes. So we're kind of trying to challenge ourselves to go, well, what if it's like you come in and you have a chat with people, and then you try to make some stuff while they're there.
Yeah.
And as kind of ridiculously difficult as that sounds, it's sort of more interesting than just making another show for me, I guess.
Save the balls.
I did not miss.
Okay, great. Thank you. Taking care of what you're doing.
That was all right.